Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the SRR-61 aka Intervention Sniper Rifle. In this video I'm going to be using the 40x scope and eventually switch over to using the 20x scope. First I'm going to discuss my experience using these two scopes and then I'll talk about the overall utility of the Intervention. Many viewers have been asking me to compare the Intervention with the M98B and I will cover this in my next sniping video once I have more experience with the M98B. Now, whenever I use the 40x scope, I can never stop laughing. The zoom level is absolutely hilarious. In all of these engagements, I'm way too close for the 40x scope to be a viable option. Any 40x scope under 350 meters engagement distance is a troll loadout. Even on large conquest maps, there's not many engagements that are exclusively advantageous to using the 40x scope. Some of it might be on my end because I need to learn the maps better, but we don't have a map yet that's like Bandar Desert or Alborz Mountains from Battlefield 3. Caspian Border and Operation Firestorm are both coming back in the second Assault DLC though. Golmud Railway might be big enough to take advantage of the 40x zoom, but there's not as many good lines of sight. Paracel Storm is really bad, you have poor visibility even before the storm hits. Siege of Shanghai is okay because you have some roof-to-roof action, but only before the skyscraper collapses because the dust cloud makes visibility really bad. I definitely will revisit 40x scope sniping once I am more familiar with the maps. The China Rising expansion is supposed to have larger scale maps, and again Firestorm and Caspian Border remakes are coming. The biggest problem you have using the 40x scope is acquiring targets and keeping them in sight while zoomed in. You have a much narrower field of focus compared to lower zoom scope levels. The best way to use the scope is to hard scope. I don't really like the term hard scope, but for lack of a better term, I'll use it in this context. With an 8x scope, which is my preferred scope, I unscope a lot. I do this because you give off scope glint when you're zooming in with any optic over 4x, and you want to reduce the time you give off scope glint. When you frequently zoom out with a 40x scope, you run a high risk of losing your target when you zoom in again, so you want to stay zoomed in as long as possible. But when doing this, you expose yourself because you're giving off scope glint like a searchlight, which is why you need to position yourself at extreme ranges compared to the targets that you shoot at. Now with the 20x scope, you have a much more manageable zoom level than the 40x scope, but the zoom is still way too high for most engagements. Also, it's worth noting that you see a lot of pop-in and flicker when you're using the extreme range scopes. I have a decent computer, I put some work into it, and in my in-game settings I set my network smoothing factor to 25%. That could be some of the cause of the visual inconsistencies. I prefer a scope with a zoom level that gives you a balance of a clear view of the target, but not so much zoom that you lose awareness of what's going on the area of the map around the target. Because I saw less of the map around enemies with the 20x scope, I missed many opportunities for multi-kills, which would have been pretty easy with the 8x scope. I think I do well not because of the 20x scope, but I'm doing well in spite of the 20x scope. With the 8x scope, I feel you have the best level of zoom for engagements in domination or team deathmatch, or to be a productive team member in objective modes. To really contribute to your team in objective play, the 40x scope is not the best choice. Best use for the 40x scope is to position yourself in a remote area of the map, and at those ranges, even though you carry a good KD, you're not really helping maintain map control or taking objectives. To really get familiar with one particular sniper rifle, I recommend you use one scope exclusively. This helps you learn the muscle memory for quick adjustments, and you learn how much your bullet drops at each range. I don't recommend you zero your scope, even though the rangefinder makes it a lot easier. Battlefield is a type of game where you're expected to be responsible for not just one range and one line of sight. Learning to gauge bullet drop makes you much more productive than re-zeroing your scope at every different range. In quick response situations, it's also a possibility that you leave your scope zeroed at the wrong range and you keep missing shots and you have no idea why. The attributes of the Intervention make it very favorable to the long-range sniper role. It's tied for the lowest bullet drop acceleration value at 6.0 meters per second squared, so there's very little you have to do in terms of adjusting to aim above targets, which makes the gun easy to learn. It's tied for the best long-range damage model, with it reaching its minimum 59 damage at 150 meters. You have a one-shot kill headshot guaranteed at that range, and another benefit of delayed damage drop is more one-shot body shot kills on enemies that have taken damage. It does 75 damage at 80 meters, so you'll be able to kill an enemy if they've taken one bullet from an assault rifle. The 7-round magazine is exactly in the middle of the lowest and highest on the sniper rifles. At 620 meters per second, the bullet velocity is a minor inconvenience. The Scout, the FYJS, and the M98B all have faster bullet velocities. But you might be asking, really, how much of a difference is 30 meters per second when compared to the M98B's 650 meters per second? If we were under 100 meter engagements, there probably wouldn't be that much of a difference, but at long range, small differences are magnified even further and they have a larger impact. This goes for any variable, not just bullet velocity. The rate of fire is tied for slowest at 40 rounds per minute, so this means more time in between follow-up shots, and with the bullet velocity, it'll be slightly harder to hit moving targets at long range compared to the M98B, so you have to be more selective on what targets to shoot. In summary, the intervention is a solid choice as a long-range sniper rifle. You have to make minimal adjustment for bullet drop, and you have a chance for more one-shot body shot kills on weakened enemies with the high damage drop-off range. Thank you very much for watching this Battlefield 4 weapon review. I hope I helped you improve as a sniper. Leave a like rating if I was informative. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more Battlefield 4 gameplay. My name is David, and I'll see you next video.